So shall we get started?
We've got 1 minute, I believe. 2:29?
2:29, 2:30. Yeah.
Mishmash. Off we go then.
Off we go. Welcome, everyone. Now, come on, you're all showing off now, Craig. Everyone's showing off because I'm speaking. I can't go hunting for avatars. So, Well, while you do avatars, we're going to talk to you about 14 essential steps that we believe are important to make remote meetings fun. And step number 1, create an avatar. Right? See, already our session was so engaging. So we're going to talk about some 14 steps. My name is Smalley. I am based in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm president of Kupala Consulting Group. I am traditionally most often based in Atlanta, Georgia. Today I'm in Florida, so 1 hour off my own time zone. Now, all of you just stop showing off. It's all I can say. And I'm going to hand over to Kate.
Thank you very much. My name is Kate Megaw. I'm based out on the West Coast in Los Angeles, and I'm the president of ArcLight Agile. Anu and I do a lot of presentations and work together because we have fun when we're doing them. So we are Team Katanu when we operate together. And what we're looking forward to today is essential steps for making remote meetings more engaging, interactive, and fun. We love to have fun when we're training and doing webinars. 3 of the words that we hear over and over again. So this is the why. Why do we even cover this topic? And the 3 words that we hear over and over again is that our sessions tend to be fun, interactive, and engaging. So we want to share with you some of the ways that we maximize attendee participation and learning in any event you're doing, whether it's a meeting, whether it's training, whether it's a webinar. So that is the why behind this topic. And for those of you who are dog people, enjoy this picture. But I know probably 50% of you are cat people, so here's the cat version of it. I didn't actually think to do a non-pet version of it, so we'll go with the cat. Or Anu said to me, why are there 2 slides? And I went, well, some people are cat lovers and some people are dog lovers, so we're covering all options.
Well, then I need a gerbil lover.
You need a gerbil. Yeah.
Now we need avatar lovers. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So quick question for you guys before we get started on this. So in the chat window, we'd love to hear from you. Why did you choose to join our session today? What are you hoping to get out? We know you're looking for one of the 14 tips, but is there anything specific you're hoping to get out of the session? Type in the chat window. What are you hoping to get out of this session? And I'm starting to see some familiar faces in here. There you go, William. Porcupine things. Yeah. Because of the dual presenters, thank you. We believe we can be more engaging when there's 2 of us and not just 1 of us. The energy levels to keep it up it's harder to do it alone. It's always better to do it together. Hoping to get some fresh ideas, more tools for your toolbox. All meetings are remote. Yep. Oh, thank you, Dana. Looking for more tips, fully remote team members, how to make shorter meetings, what others are doing, practical tools, freshen virtual sessions. 14, Teddy, come on. I wanted 15. She made me go with 14. No kidding. So David needs 11 more because he has only 3 ways to make it more engaging. So good. Excellent. So you're in the right spot. We are here to share our experiences, our knowledge of what we have done in the last 3 years, if not more, to make our sessions engaging.
Absolutely. So the 14 steps that we're going to talk you through today. And the reason there are 14 is because we've taken a letter from each. In case you can't read it because it's minute on the screen and you're looking at it sideways, this reads essential steps. So these are our 14 essential steps to make our remote meetings more engaging, interactive, and fun.
And if you've ever been in a session with us, you know we love these alliterations.
We'll make anything up.
We'll make anything up to make it more engaging because now everybody is going, what's number 6? I can't read number 6. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're gonna wait.
So these are the 14 we are going to cover over the next 44 minutes.
Awesome.
Okay, take it away.
So the first one we want to look at is we want to make sure we encourage webcams. Now, in an in-person session, when you were doing in-person meetings, nobody was in the next door shouting out their answers or their thoughts, right? Nobody sat there with a paper bag over their head saying, I don't want to show my face. Because communication, you need to see people's faces and body language for communication. If you've not heard of this study done by Dr. Albert Mehrabian, he talks about how communication, 55% of our communication is recognizing body language. So we want webcams on because it holds people accountable. It prevents multitasking because guess what? If you're doing this, I can see you, right? But if your video is not on, I have no way to know if you're connecting with me at all. It allows for better communication, better connections. If you see people's faces, you automatically connect. It's a human thing, right? And it motivates you because when you see other people's faces and going, oh, I get that, people automatically jump right in. So we want to encourage webcams. So how do we do that? Because I'm sure all of you come to a point where people are going, I'm not putting my webcam on. I've been on Zoom for 15 hours, I'm done. It happens. So lead by example. That's always the best thing to do. Working agreements with your teams, create a working agreement that during this part of the meeting or during this meeting, we will have webcams on. Encourage backgrounds and please add, create avatars to that list now, because that is so cool. I think one of the things that I actually will also add to this is, you know how in an in-person session, you don't have a mirror staring at you, but you can't see yourself. But on Zoom, you can. And studies have shown that when you see yourself reflected for 8 hours a day, your brain gets very tired of processing your own face. Hide your self-view in the Zoom session. It instantly reduces the cognitive conflict that goes on in your brain, right? So remove self-view. A couple of other things in here, right? Let people know it's okay to, if your kids, dogs, pets, husbands, spouses, friends, neighbors are popping in, that's all good. That's the benefit of working from home. Shorter sessions. If I have to sit here for 8 hours with my webcam on, by hour 2, I'm going to be half asleep. But if you do short sessions where they can turn video off and go away, come back, it makes it easy. And of course, follow all the remaining 13 steps to make it so much more fun and engaging. So they want to be on video and have fun with it, right? So keep videos on, help them encourage to do that.
Yeah. So number 2 for our essential steps is smaller breakout groups. When there's a large group together, people are sometimes hesitant to share ideas or speak up if there's a larger group. So one of the things that we use a lot is smaller breakouts. So whether we send people off into rooms of 4 or 5, or we do pairs or we do triads, we split it up. So whether you're using Zoom or Teams, whatever tool you're using, use breakout rooms to get people to work in smaller groups and bring them back together. I know for those of you who are doing Scrum, when I'm doing sprint planning remotely, often what I'll do is the teams will go off into smaller breakout rooms to decompose stories or backlog items down into tasks, and then they'll come back together and they'll do a readout and share the output rather than everyone sitting through something which can become quite repetitive or boring. So also making use of when they're in breakout rooms, a lot of what we do is each team has their own mural, and we'll talk more about tools. So whatever tool you're using, each team is going into the tool and they're having their own version of it. So all of their work is gathered together And then the presenter can simply share the output from different teams. So there's a lot of different interactions. So we'll go to breakout rooms, do an exercise, come back to the main room and debrief with everyone. So we're in and out of breakout rooms throughout the entire session. So nobody is getting bored or getting a chance to zone out. So that's step number 2.
Step number 3. Do some fun and now do some Segue icebreaker. Now this is very divided in the community. There is a group of trainers and facilitators and coaches who go, non-related Segue questions, waste of time, don't even bother. There's another group of trainers and coaches and facilitators who go, it is the human connection, not just content connection. You know your teams, so figure out which kind of Segue question works best for you. Is it content related? Is it non-content related, right? Sometimes we found that for quick, short meetings, we do what we did with you guys earlier. Let's do a chat storm. What are you hoping to get out of it? Segue question, right? That was our Segue question, content related Segue. We might do fun things like, what are you binge watching now? What show? My favorite Segue question is, what is your favorite gadget in your kitchen? Give me an Amazon link to that so I can go shopping, right? So it's Segue questions are important, but make sure you are focusing on what is the purpose of your Segue question. If it is a virtual environment and this is the first time this group is meeting, you may need some get to know people Segue questions. If it's a team that's been around for a while, do a content-based thing. Some of the things we do is, what's one word that describes today for you? It's about what are you feeling right now? So I, as a facilitator, I'm going, okay, everybody is tired. Okay, I need to do some more energizing activity. Everybody is focused on this problem they're solving. Maybe I need to do something different. Segue questions also inform you, the facilitator, what possible steps you could do going forward.
And segues and questions are so important that we're covering slightly more of this because you can use different types of segues. So there are interactive segues. So we tend to use these for longer meetings or training, or if you're doing a half-day event with your team. One of them is one of the murals that happens to be one of the templates in Mural. If I were an animal, what animal and why? We, in the past with our teams, have done Where Are You At Wednesday? So we basically have everyone add a photograph to the mural board or whatever tool we're using, the remote tool we're using, and then we got to guess who it was. One of my favorite ones was put a picture of your unfinished project, and then we had to guess whose project was what. And I don't know if you can see, it's very small on the screen, but this knitting was about this size. It was the back of a baby's cardigan. Now, my baby is now 22 years old, so there's not a mission that cardigan's ever going to be finished or fit to her. But it was a fun activity to get the team to connect with each other. And if you're doing kicking off a new team and bringing people together, one of the ones that you've done, we combine the smaller breakouts with segue questions, and we do random pairs, 3 5-minute rounds. Round 1, they answer these questions. Round 2, they answer those questions. And then round 3, they answer these. So lots of different ways to introduce segues, from a simple one word to kick off a 45-minute meeting to breakout and more interactive ones. So when we're talking about interactive, so 3 was segue questions, 4 is make sure there are engaging activities. So if you are using breakout rooms for teams to do small group exercises, don't always have the same activity. Oh, we're going to create a poster. So add your Post-it notes to the remote flip chart and we'll create a poster. There are lots of different activities that you can use. here's an example of some of the ones that we use in classes. So sometimes we can have people score from 1 to 5. We do matching games, so match the accountability with the Scrum role. We do characteristics of a Scrum Master or product owner with the adding words and images. We do fill in the blank quizzes. We create acronyms. We've talked about the essential steps acronym we've created for this. We have a facilitator acronym that we use in a lot of our classes. So there are different activities that you can do in any event. So it's not always the same thing that you're doing.
Yeah, I think somebody brought up training from the back of the room. And one of the principles in training from the back of the room is different trumps same. So different types of activities in the same session is good because your brain isn't going, okay, that's another matching game, right? You're trying to change it up so the brain stays engaged.
And for any of these events, there are lots of murals out there that you can use. This was just a simple retrospective that Anu and I were doing on a trip that we did last May. So the start, stop, keep, or whatever you're doing. So make sure you're using different activities all the time.
All right. Then we get to what some of you had typed in the beginning when you saw the 14 steps. No meeting Friday. The first time I saw this was I used to work at a online bank in Wilmington, Delaware called ING Direct. That was one of the unspoken rules. Not even the president of the company was allowed, and I put allowed in air quotes, to schedule a meeting on a Friday. Friday was for us to catch up, do stuff, do work, and not have to sit in meetings. Nobody was allowed to schedule a meeting on Friday. And as a matter of fact, one of the things we did was, you know how on your Outlook, you can book a conference room? All conference rooms are blocked out every Friday. So how do you, it's not just a talking about doing a no meeting day, but actually, and again, I loosely say this, enforcing it, where you hold each other accountable. So if I send you a meeting invite for 45 minutes on a Friday, you come back and say, hey, no, you're forgetting? It's a Friday. No meetings on a Friday, so that we can focus on some other things. Now, this can be harder to do at one go with the big company. Start with your team. Maybe your team decides we will not do meetings. Now, this does not include your daily scrum. Though that's not what I'm saying. Daily scrum is not a status reporting meeting, right? So you're going to do a quick touch up, do that. But no refinement sessions, no other things. It's about working and getting stuff done. If you have stakeholders who give you a meeting on Friday, work with your product owner and say, hey, product owner, can you ask them to move it? Because we would prefer not to do this. Slowly spread this thing out. If you tell your entire organization, no meeting day, you may get a few people who freak out. Start small and spread it out big, right?
And one of the ways that we can incorporate that is including it in number 6, which is our working agreements. So when we are doing any classes or events, we should always do working agreements. Your team should always have working agreements, and it is your way to make sure you head off some of the conflict further down the line. So a lot of the ones that we tend to have in virtual classes is things around breaks and stretch breaks and no snack shaming. We've talked about some of the things, ELMO standing for enough, let's move on. We tend to incorporate all of these types of things in working agreements, because then it's a general understanding that we have everyone on the same page. Whether it's we want to make sure everyone's webcams are on, if we're wanting to encourage people to do backgrounds or do avatars and things like that. It's reminding people to expect the unexpected. It's okay to turn your webcam off or something if kids come into the room or the dog starts attacking the UPS delivery guy. And it's Elmo. It's whatever your team's tool is to make sure the team will not go down a rabbit hole. I think when Anu, we did a session last year for the Scrum gathering, and somebody on the phone said, yes, instead of Elmo, they had everyone's pen, everyone got sent a rabbit. And when somebody went down the rabbit hole, the rabbits jumped across the screen. So whatever your team's version is, let's get us out of the weeds and get us moved on. So that is number 6.
Number 7 goes into just make sure as a facilitator, you are introducing the tools you're going to use in session, right? Don't assume everybody knows how to use Miro. I still ask, even after 3 years of virtual classes, at the beginning of every class, we ask, is anybody not familiar with Miro? Okay, now, because maybe they use Miro or Jamboards or whatever other tools. Maybe you don't use Zoom and you use Microsoft Teams. Make sure you're introducing the tools, not just in the session, but before the session. We send out a welcome email to every session, which says, here are the tools we're going to use. Some clients will actually tell me, you can't use, I have one client who said, we can't use Miro. It's not allowed by our IT rules, but Miro is allowed. Okay. So you have to make sure that the tools that you're using in session, people know about it before. Otherwise, the first so much time of your session is all going to be about this. Well, my audio is not working. My video is not working. I can't get into Miro. I don't have Firefox. You want to head that off as much as possible. You're never going to head it off completely, ever, right? There will be some technology issues because you're using technology. And as long as you use technology, something's going to blow up. But how can you avoid it? Introduce the tools before, and at the beginning of the meeting, ask if anybody wants any assistance in the tools itself.
And a good one to introduce here is if you are going to require webcams to be on, remind people that this is a webcam on meeting to try and make sure everyone's prepared ahead of time. So number 8 in our essential steps is have a visual agenda. Those of you who do Scrum with your team will be familiar with the Kanban board, the backlog or to do, doing and done. All of your virtual meetings should have a virtual agenda because it keeps everyone focused on where we are. A lot of times before I go into a virtual meeting, the day before when Anu said sort of introducing the tools ahead of time, I will say to people, here's the mural link for the meeting, and I'll have the agenda there and I'll say, please add anything else to the agenda that we need to discuss. So it means other people are jumping in and adding stuff to the agenda, and then everyone can see where we are in the agenda and how much more there still is to do. So whether you, no matter what tool you use, even if you're in person, the agenda should be written up there on flip chart paper and checking them off as you go through so that everyone is remaining focused on exactly what it is we're discussing.
Yeah, remember, we do Scrum. One of the foundation reasons we do any Agile framework is to make work visible.
Yeah.
And this is a great way to do this. Number 9, I mentioned this. This is the Mehrabian rule. So Albert Mehrabian created this. It's the 7-38-55% rule, which says when you communicate, the way people receive communication, 7% is the verbal communication. 38% of communication, how we process it, is based on facial expression and tone. 55% of the communication we process is based on what we are seeing, body language. This is why webcams are important. Think about, if like if you're on webcam and you see people going, you see this expression and you go, wait, can I clarify something for you? Because something you are receiving that, even though they're not saying anything. This is why we talk about email as communication, just communication. You're missing 93% of how people absorb information. So email becomes a really hard thing because I'm putting my own context into it, right? So you're coming into talking about active listening. We talk about, as you focus on Mehrabian's rule, there are 12 different active listening skills. We're not going to be able to do 12 all at the same time, but consider what are you bringing in here? Paying attention, right? Not getting distracted. And if I'm on webcam, I can show that I'm paying attention, as opposed to you don't even know what I'm doing at the moment. Don't interrupt people. Wait till the thought is finished. Give them 30-second or 3-second breathing room. I actually do a count of 5 before I'll say something, because sometimes people are going, taking a breath or continuing their thought process. Summarizing, maintaining eye contact, showing interest, right? Paraphrasing, requesting confirmation. So can I ask, what was that? What did you mean by that? Can you explain more? Can you dig deeper? Using body language. There are certain types of body language that are usually considered to be non-positive. Folding hands across, right? Body language is important, people.
Thank you, David.
Withholding any judgment. And remember, withholding judgment is not just your words. This is judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, you can show judgment without saying a single word. Show empathy. Share what you're hearing. Repeat key phrases, summarizing, paraphrasing. All great things. And we use most, if not all, in our sessions. And we encourage our participants to use these as well. Because what makes it engaging is not just Kate and I, it's how engaged you are. That also helps everyone else be engaged.
Number 10 is make sure you're including movement. This is the 2 S's for the essentials and the steps. It's making sure people are standing and stretching. So if you get an afternoon session and it's after lunch and people are beginning to get the lunch, the fatigue after lunch, have someone lead the group in as an exercise, or have everyone turn off webcams and stand and stretch, or add music to keep people moving and energized. But you're wanting to introduce, especially if you're going for longer than 45 minutes, introduce some way of getting oxygen into their system, whether it's in place or they're standing and stretching, or combining it with a Segue exercise.
One of the things I did recently in a class, and I don't think I've shared with you yet about this, like I had about 4 or 5 people at the beginning when I said, share a fun fact about yourself. A bunch of them said, I do yoga, I do this. So we anointed them stretch masters for the class. And each one of them, they, at every, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, they would say, stretch break. So they would lead the class in a 4 or 5 minute stretch, right? Just get up, stretch, because sitting kind of dulls your brain as well. So the stretch master thing worked really well.
Yeah, perfect. I don't know about yoga in an armchair, in a computer chair, but we'll see.
It works.
Armchair yoga. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sitting yoga.
Sitting yoga. Okay.
That's the new thing nowadays.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Number 11 is time boxing. This is the facilitator's key tool that we use. Time box the entire meeting, and in your agenda, make sure everybody knows we are going to spend 10 minutes on this. We're going to spend 3 minutes here and then take a 5-minute break. So they know what's coming, right? If they know, hey, there's going to be a break in about 10 minutes, I got to go do something. I can wait 10 minutes or not, but I have information to make that choice. Time boxing is key. And remember, one of the things we learn in Agile is, why is time boxing important? We reduce waste by time boxing. It's not just so that I can crack the whip and tell everybody what they're going to do when. It is to help reduce the waste. If I say we are going to do a 15-minute meeting, and then we're going to do this, I'm trying to make sure we are getting to the outcome of the meeting, whatever we are hoping to get out of it. Right?
So, and also a reminder on that, if you're using Mural or any tools like that, there is a timer there that you can use for countdown. but also in Zoom, if you're using Zoom and other apps like that, there is a countdown that you can put there. So when I record podcasts. So when I'm doing a podcast, I have the timer on my image so that I can see as we're counting down, because as you've seen, Anu and I like to talk and we can sometimes run on. So we need to make sure that we are keeping everyone focused on the time remaining.
So you want to do the explore tools?
Okay, I can do explore tools. Yeah. So this is always finding new tools to do things. When we first started doing remote, we were going to use Google Docs and we were going to, I think, use GoToTraining and things like that. And as we started doing it, there were more and more tools where people you see from events like this. Well, what is everyone else using? So, I mean, we use Zoom because it allows us to do the chat, but explore the tool, the different features within the tools you have. So if you have Zoom, are you using the emotions and the hands up and timers? If you're doing a presentation to a large group, are you using Kahoot or something like that, where you can do quizzes and things like that? So no matter what tools you have, make sure everyone in your organization, if you have a retrospective tool that you've bought for your organization, make sure everyone knows the tools that your organization can use. I know some of them won't work with different firewalls and things like that, but there are so many tools out there that can make your meetings way more engaging. Even the simple whiteboard in Microsoft Teams can help make your meetings more engaging and more interactive.
So I really like, Suzanne, your comment about different tools update, new things show up. So good segue question. What have you learned in this tool? I think that's a good
segue.
That one. So I actually have a question for you guys. I'm just going to go off script here for a second. So what are the tools you're using? Kate mentioned something called Kahoot. Right? What are some of the other tools you might have used to make things more engaging? Type it into the chat window. We'll collect those and stick them on a slide as well. So, oh wait, I need to put my glasses on. Slow down. To read. Slido, Mentimeter, usage chart, poll everywhere, Zoom polling, Miro, So I discovered this Miro, Microsoft Teams, lots of apps available. iRetro. Oh, I don't know that one. Miro, Metro Retro. So the one Retrium, slides with friends. Oh, I don't know that. I'm gonna see. I'm learning too. Thank you. One of my favorite tools recently in class is this thing called Sporkle. It's quizzes. If you have not tried it, it is so much fun, especially to do starting with a retro or something. It's really fun. So check that out as well. Sporkle. Thank you for all of this. We will grab all of this and stick it in a slide so we get all of this information.
And we'll make sure you have a copy of all of these slides at the end of the session.
Parking lot. So again, lots of trainers and facilitators actually divided on this. Some trainers believe parking lots are critical and the trainer or facilitator maintain it, control it, to keep the meeting on track so that you don't have those rabbit holes going on, right? So there's no shiny squirrels. We keep it on track. So we say, okay, put it on the parking lot. But here's the thing, if you put it on the parking lot, make dang sure you have time to go back and clear it. If you don't, people are going to go, why did you ask me to put it on the parking lot? You didn't even bother clearing it out. So make sure you allocate that. There is another group of thought that says, well, I am going to say, well, we'll talk about that in this section. Could you write a note for yourself? So each attendee maintains their own parking lot as opposed to the trainer or facilitator maintaining a parking lot. So depending on how big your audience is, figure out what works best for that, right? What people don't want. Laura, you fire them. No, kidding. No, you don't fire them.
Okay, so the final of the essential steps is the scavenger hunt. And that is something that we tend to do at break. So when we go off to break, we say to students, when they come back, they bring something with them. And I must admit, when we first introduced this 3 years ago, I thought there's no way grown-ass adults are going to want to do scavenger hunts every break. And without fail, if we forget to debrief the scavenger hunt, somebody says, well, you didn't ask about such and such. So scavenger hunts can be anything. One of my favorite ones is I say to people, give me a color, any color. And then the next, give me a shape, any shape. So I say, okay, so we're going to find a purple circle at break. When you come back after break, let us see your purple circle. So we have people with pets, toys, kids' toys, people with candles. Anu talked about one of her favorites, kitchen gadget. Mine is, what is the most useful thing you found recently that you never thought you'd need? Mine was Peeps recently. Somebody in class introduced me to this for cleaning my glasses. An amazing tool for cleaning my glasses, but anything like that to get people going off, it requires that they're leaving their seat, so we're getting some oxygen into their system, but it's also connecting with each other, especially if it's a team. Another one I like is bring back your favorite mug or beverage holder. It's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world, so no judgment if it's full of wine or beer. Just things like that you can connect everyone. Show us something on your desk that tells us a bit about you. Any of those are good examples of Segue, scavenger hunt and Segue questions. So I'm going to pause for a minute, Anu, because I know you've been busy writing away.
I was trying to write it. I was trying to capture some stuff, but
okay.
I think we have about 10 minutes. So I want to ask them, do we have?
Yeah, I wanted to bring this back to this final, so back to the stepping stone, the stepping slide. So we've covered 14 essential steps for making our remote meetings more engaging and fun. So we've looked at number one, we've explored webcams. We've looked at smaller breakout groups. We've looked at Segue questions, engaging activities, no meeting Fridays, team working agreements, introducing the tools, visual agenda, active listening, stand and stretch, time box, exploring the tools, using a parking lot, and scavenger hunts. So 14 different ways that you can use to encourage participation so that everyone is engaged in the meeting. So I think what we want to do now before we close out this session is pause for a minute and let's hear what questions you have around this. So feel free to put it in the chat. I don't know if you can come off mute, but what questions do you have, or is there something that you have also used that you would like to share with the group?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions in the chat, which hopefully Laura helped. I hope so.
Sorry, say that again.
No, Laura was asking, how do you deal with people who don't care about your time box?
Okay. And so do you want to grab that?
No, it's
already answered. Okay, so what else have we got in the chat window? The hat ones, I think that's what you were mentioning, Teddy. Generally, I will do that on day 2 if I'm doing a multi-day event, which is wear your favorite hat or headgear. I have had students create hats on the spot from newspapers. I had somebody who emptied their purse out and put their purse on their head because they'd forgotten to wear a hat. So anything like that, which again, as long as you can make sure that your team is happy to do that type of thing, it's a good idea to introduce that.
So there's a question, when it's just one team with one backlog, how would breakout room work at sprint planning?
So what I tend to do there is each team, even if it's a small team, we pair up, we go off to breakout rooms to decompose a backlog item into tasks, and then we come back to the main room and we say, okay, this is how we broke it down. What did we miss? So everyone is participating. but some of the work is done separately, some of the work is done together. So we're jumping in and out. So we're getting the different concept there.
So I think let's just close up and then we'll stay for a couple of minutes if anybody has questions. So we do want to put a plug in for us, Matt, since you got to listen to us for a while. One plug that we are putting in, Scrum Alliance recently came up with a new certification for facilitators.
I'm just trying to get to the slide.
We are going to be offering that class for the first time. It's the first class that's being delivered in the US. In May, if you're coming to the Scrum gathering in Portland, stay for a couple extra days, hang out with us, learn more cool stuff about facilitation. If you are interested, we will offer, there's a code there. If you can't grab it, email one of us, we'll send it to you again. We'll give you a $100 discount for coming here, hanging out with us, and for joining us in the first inaugural class for the certified facilitator. So that's our little plug. So before we say adios, what are you going to do differently from based on everything we've talked about? What will you do differently?
Yeah, so think about that.
Storm.
Put it in the chat window. What is at least one thing you're going to do differently, having listened to Anu and I, or the ideas from each other? So put in the chat storm, what are the things you're going to do differently? And Anu and I will also put in our chat storm, put in our chat our contact information. I'll copy that in while Anu's grabbing the other stuff. So if you want a copy of the slides, just email us and let us know. We will also post them on our blog. So I'll go ahead and put the contact information here.
So there's Portland, Oregon. I wish Portland, Maine is beautiful, but it's Portland, Oregon. We have one word description box, change state every 30 minutes, scavenger hunt, stretch breaks, scavenger hunt, scavenger hunt, scavenger hunt, decomposition, breakout rooms during planning, explore more tools, stretch breaks, scavenger hunt, cameras, visual timers, stretch breaks, scavenger hunts, big.
Nice. Yeah.
More stand and stretch, scavenger hunts, breakouts for planning, adding a fun item during PI planning breaks, always good. You're welcome, Anupama. By the way, my name is Anupama as well. Yeah, I know it's short for that. Introduce the tools, no meeting Friday or no meeting day, whatever day it is. Icebreaker, stretch break, scavenger hunt, sitting yoga, yay. So we will, one of the things we'll do is we'll make sure we get these slides over to Stephen and Milan. And I know Milan sends out, here's this information, so you'll get it that way. If for some reason you don't get that, email us, we'll get that to you as well. Thank you very much for being here. We'll hang out here for a couple of minutes. Thank you so much for being here and listening to our ideas. We will see you at some other session somewhere. Maybe I think some of you already reached out saying, hey, tell us about the Portland session. We will be presenting at the Scrum gathering in Portland as well. So come hang out with us, attend our session, and join us in our first facilitation class. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic rest of the day and week.
Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Oh, it is Wednesday. Happy 1st of March.
Yay. Okay. Any questions that you still have?
Oh, save chat.
Anyone have any questions before we disconnect?
Hi, thank you for the great session. My name is Femi. I have a question around active listening, especially around paraphrasing, because mirroring and paraphrasing are great tools, but sometimes you can, misrepresent what somebody has said and kind of take them off. So do you have any tips for kind of making sure that you, as much as possible, reflect back what they've heard and to keep them engaged?
So I think a lot of times telling them what you heard is very important. I think so. There are two different techniques, like you paraphrasing and you mirror back. there are two different things. Mirroring says, I'm going to repeat word for word what you've just said. So you hear the words you used as well. And you go, oh, that didn't sound like what I wanted to say. Paraphrasing says, here's my understanding of the words you've just said. Is that what you meant to say? So active listening is also about saying, wait, can I offer up something? So what I heard you say is this is my understanding. I think what you're calling out is so important. It is as important as to send back to the speaker your understanding of the words, then just going, this is good, but it's also important for the speaker to know how their words are sounding so that there's no misrepresentation.
Yeah, great, thanks.
So two things, right? Mirroring and paraphrasing work differently. So see which one works best for you.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.